Did you know there's more than one way to convert an equation from general form to quadratic form? In this video, we'll explore two different methods to make the process easier and help you choose the best approach for any problem. We will explore the two methods to transform an equation into vertex form, y equals ax minus p squared plus q. By the end, you'll know exactly how to tackle any quadratic equation with confidence. Let's get started. So to change to vertex form, we're going to try the easier method first. What we're trying to find is p first. So we're trying to find this value right here, and p equals negative b over 2a. And then q, which is this, to find the q, you just do f of p. What does that mean? It means once you find p, then you do f of p. What's f of p? F of p means you take the value that you found for p, sub it in for the x's here, and solve your equation. And whatever that is, that's your q. All right. Now, maybe I'll write the equation in standard form for you so you know where this b and a and all of that come from. So the equation is y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. So that's the equation. So a here would be 3, b will be 24, c will be 50. So let's find p first. So to find p, it's negative b. And as we agreed, b is the 24 here. So it's going to be negative 24 over 2a, and a is 3. So that's negative 24 over 6, which gives me negative 4. Now we found p. Now it's time to find q. Q will be 3 times negative 4 squared plus 24 times negative 4 plus 50. So basically what we did, we took the p-value, the negative 4, we subbed it in for the x to find what q is. And that I'm just going to do on my calculator. And I get 2, so q equals 2. And therefore, my equation in vertex form is y equals a, and a, as we see here, this is the a value. So a is 3, x minus p, so x minus negative 4, and minus negative 4 will make that plus 4 squared plus q, and q here we found it to be 2, so that's plus 2. So as I see, this is very easy. All you need to do is just memorize this here, and then it just filling in the blank, or filling in the numbers for b and a and all of that, and doing all the work to find the equation. So that's the easy way of doing it. How about the second way? The second way is completing the square, noticing from long experience that kids have trouble completing the square. And especially when you're completing the square and you have a coefficient in front of the x squared where the a value is greater than 1 or less than negative 1, it becomes a little bit more challenging. But let's try to make it a bit easier for you. So the first thing you do is rewrite the equation. But you have to factor out that negative 2 out. Okay, and you could argue that negative 2 doesn't factor out of the negative 13. As a matter of fact, you don't even want to deal with that negative 13 for completing the square. So you just factor the negative 2 out from this and this. So that will give you x squared. When you factor out a negative, that becomes plus, and that's going to become 6x. Now I'm going to close a bracket there, and I'm going to write minus 13 right here. So the negative 13 is not involved at all in completing the square. Now to complete the square, there's one step you have to do. So what you do, you take the b value to complete the square, divide it by 2, and square it. Okay. So in this case, the b value here is 6. It's not negative 12. Some students will go back to negative 12. No, the b value, it's after you factor the negative 2. So it's 6 divided by 2 and square it. You will get 9. So this number 9 that you got, you have to add it here. But you cannot just add a number to an equation and think it's okay, because now you changed the equation, you changed the quantity of this equation. But how about if we minus a 9? So adding a 9 and minusing a 9 is basically, it's like adding a 0. So when you add a 0 to something, you don't change it. If I tell you, I'm going to give you $10, you'll be very happy. But I say, I'm going to add 0 to the $10. I know some people think that $10 is a lot of money. But if I tell you I'm going to add a $0 to the $10, you think, you're not adding anything. So adding a 0 doesn't change the quantity of the equation. But now a lot of students, when you do this stuff, they say, okay, I'll just make this 0 again. Well, if you make this 0 again, why did you go through all of that work? That's not what you're supposed to do. So now listen to this. Once we do this step, this here, so you start writing y equals -2. Okay. Before I start talking about this, I'm going to take about this -9. When you complete the square, the most important is the +9, not the -9. That's what you need for this equation right here. But that -9 is just so that you make it 0. But this -9, what you want to do, we want to move it outside of the brackets. But to multiply, to move it outside of the brackets, it's affected by that -2. So to be able to move it, then you multiply it by the -2 in the process and move it. Okay. So what does that mean? It means, let me just write the brackets here for this. It means we're still going to have the -13 right here. And then when we move the -9, we have to remember that we have to multiply it by -2. So that gives us +18. So it comes out as +18. Okay. So now this here we're done with. How about here? See, when you complete the square, what you do, you make this a perfect square trinomial. That's the reason we complete the square. And if this is a perfect square trinomial, then it's very easy to factor. All you need to do is just take the square root of x, the square root of 9, write them inside here. And because this is a plus, oops. So we said the square root of 9, not the 9, square root of 9. So here again, so you take the square root of this, you put it there, you take the square root of 9, it gives you 3, and then you look at the sign. After the x squared, then you put that right here and you throw a square on top. That's how easy it is. Now, you see, if you go x plus 3 times x plus 3, that will FOIL into x squared plus 3x plus 3x plus 3x plus 9, which gives you x squared plus 6x plus 9, which is that right here. But again, you don't have to do all that work. All you need to do is this is for me to show you that it works. So when you complete the square, after you complete the square, put this line underneath this part of the equation, because this is what completes the square. The 9 here and that here is going to give you this. The number that's minusing, you have to move it outside, and remember to multiply it by the factor outside of here when you move it. So it's not, doesn't come out as -9. Now it's going to be multiplied by -2. That's why it comes out as +18. And then when you're factoring this, all you need to do is just write an x here, and the square root of the number that you added, the 9, the square root of 9 is 3, and then the sign after the x squared, that what goes in there. So if this was negative, then you should put a negative in here, not a positive. Okay. Now let's finish this. Y equals -2 brackets x plus 3 squared, and -13 plus 18 will give you +5. And that's how you convert from general form to vertex form, y equals ax minus p squared plus q, using 2 different methods. Whether you prefer one approach over the other, knowing both will help you solve any quadratic equation efficiently. If you found this helpful, be sure to like, subscribe, and drop a comment with any question. See you in the next session.